As many of you guys know, we have a really special guest with us today, and so we thought it would only be appropriate to have our very own Coach Turner Gill come and introduce the great Frank Beamer. So can you welcome your coach, Turner Gill, to the stage?
All right, to God be the glory. As I would listen to those songs, I just got a real quick, God just kind of touched me here, and I want to share the scripture there in John 14:6. He says, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And so those music that was going on here, the song kind of touched me that way. I just want to share that with you. Talking about Frank Beamer, who is our guest today, and we're very, very excited to have him here. As most of you know, he's a retired Virginia Tech football coach. He led their team to 23 straight winning seasons, 23 consecutive bowl appearances. He also was a former starting cornerback at Virginia Tech. Some of you may know that, some of you may not. He's also now currently the special assistant to the athletic director at Virginia Tech. He currently lives in Richmond, Virginia with his wife, and they have 2 children. Last little thing here before we move forward. At the time of his retirement, he was the winningest active coach in the FBS level with 280 victories. Now, let's turn to the video.
"1993 was a breakthrough season for the Virginia Tech Hokies under head coach Frank Beamer. The team went 9-3, including an Independence Bowl win over Indiana. That began a string of 23 straight bowl games. 2 years after their Independence Bowl win, Beamer led the Hokies to their first Big East championship and a dominating 28-10 win over Texas in the Sugar Bowl that put the program on the map. 4 years later, Virginia Tech returned to New Orleans to play for a national championship against Florida State. Though it wasn't meant to be, Frank Beamer had accomplished something unprecedented, elevating the Virginia Tech football program to elite status. The success continued with the transition into the ACC in 2004, with 8 consecutive 10-win seasons and 4 ACC titles. In 2015, Frank Beamer decided that 45 years of coaching football was enough and announced his retirement as one of the greatest coaches to ever coach the game. Please welcome to the Liberty University Convocation stage, with over 270 career wins, Frank Beamer.
Thank you so much. My pleasure to be here. How many of you guys know who Virginia Tech opens up with next fall? Liberty. I got the heck out of there before we had to play you guys. I didn't win all those games by being dumb. I want to tell you that right now. But it's going to be a great game there in Blacksburg, and look forward to it. I'm amazed. I can remember watching Dr. Jerry Falwell on TV when I was growing up and coming along, and then to watch what's taking place here, all the buildings, all the things that's going on. It's amazing. And I know you are proud to be a part of it, and you should be. And having been at one place, and I can tell you know how we do sometimes, you ask for God's help when you need him. Well, I needed him early because I was burned when I was 7 years old. And over the next 4 years, I had 29 operations, and I was laying there in a hospital bed, and from that guy laying there with a patch on his face to staying at one place as a head football coach at Virginia Tech for 29 years, I know I've been blessed, and I know I've called on him many times and will continue as you will. But having been there for 25 years, I did narrow it down to 3 things that I want to talk to you, because I think leadership, and in this group here, there's going to be many leaders that come out of here. And the best I can tell with all this building and going on and so forth, there's some smart people here at Liberty University. So I know there's going to be some leaders coming out of you guys. And three things that I've built my career on, three things that I think it's got to be consistent, whether it's a program, football program, a business, your personal life, I don't care. I think it's these three things right here. I believe to be an effective leader, you've got to have three critical qualities. First, you got to have high integrity. Second, you got to be able to communicate. And third, you got to be highly organized. Those three things. No matter the profession, no matter if it's your personal life, your success will be determined by these three qualities. In addition, you got to surround yourself. And that's one thing I found early. Not only can you need to be this, but you better have the people around you, the people that's with you, working for that success. They need to have these qualities. And I think if you set the tone, it'll follow with them, and then the whole group will become that way. Remember, these three things work both in your professional life and your personal life. First of all, integrity. Proverbs 11:3 says, honesty is one of my favorite verses. Honesty guides good people. Dishonesty destroys treacherous people. So as far back as biblical times, the very essence of integrity is visited and laid out. Many things have changed over time, but the importance of integrity has not. Through my career, I've been defined by football, but there's one sport that epitomizes what integrity is all about, and that one sport is golf. When you think about the world today, the sports that you watch on TV, the football, basketball, baseball, soccer, hockey, all these things have one thing in common. They have officials that are there to make sure the rules are followed. Even in NASCAR, which I love. I saw your pastor, Jonathan Falwell, down in Martinsville a few years back. I asked him why he wasn't in church. He said he got it by that day, and so I hope I did too. But we both like NASCAR. But even NASCAR, you got to have an inspection before the race. You have an inspection of the car after the race. We got to follow the rules. Golf is different. It's officiated by the players. There's an official in the course now that if you got a question, you ask the question, but the players officiate themselves. I've often said that a 4-hour round of golf will tell you a great deal about someone, how they handle success, how they handle disappointment, how they handle adversity. Are they courteous? Do they respect the game and their opponents? But more than anything, a 4-hour round of golf will demonstrate one's integrity. If you cheat in golf, you'll cheat in life. I love the example of Jason Millard. He's a two-time All-American at Middle Tennessee State. What happened to Millard is a situation unique to golf where the players called their own penalty. Millard had packed his bags, he put his clubs in the car, and was on his way to Pinehurst for the U.S. Open, one of the biggest tournaments ever. He was going to be a thrill of a lifetime for him, but instead, Millard turned his car around. The week before, Millard thought he had touched the sand ever so slightly with his club before hitting the ball out of a bunker. And it was a qualifying tournament in Memphis. And for us that play golf, you know, when you're taking your practice swings in a bunker, you cannot touch the sand. He thought he wasn't sure. No one saw it. There was no video of the situation. Millard said he was taking his swing and he thinks he saw it, but he wasn't sure. But the little image kept popping in his head. Did he ground the club or did he not? Or did he just imagine the whole thing? Millard signed a scorecard that made him a qualifier for the Open. He wanted to celebrate, but he couldn't. A week later, Millard began the 8-hour drive to Pinehurst to play in one of golf's greatest events. He pulled the car over after about 90 minutes. He got the phone number of the USGA Golf Association, turned himself in for signing an erroneous scorecard the week before. Millard said there was something in his heart telling him something wasn't right. Jason Millard is a person of high integrity. Would you want to play with Jason? I would. You know, I would know he's going to play the game the right way. Next, you got to be able to communicate. I'm a big believer. Say what you mean and mean what you say. A large part of communication in a business, football program, or a family is solving problems. In a day and age when we use email or texting, the art of communication in many situations is lost. I have told our players, tell our staff over the years, there's not a better way to solve a problem, not a better way of communicating than getting the people in a room and look at each other face to face. Talk to each other, look in each other's eyes, and you got a chance to solve the problem. Not hiding behind the phone to text or behind the computer to email, but look in someone's eyes and speak to one another. If there's a problem, communicate with the person who can solve the problem. If there's a problem, communicate with the person. Go to the guy that can solve your problem. If you don't do that, you're just complaining. And complaining is not a good way to communicate. So go to the person that can help you. A big part of communication is attitude. I'm big on being positive. Positive in life, there's a lot of things we have no control over, but we have complete control over our attitude, which is essential in having a successful communication. Attitude is defined as a subtle way of thinking or feeling about someone or something, typically one that is reflected in a person's behavior. I like to emphasize a positive attitude. Just as I said, surround yourself with people of high integrity, I'm also telling you, surround yourself with positive people. People that know how to solve a problem, and when they do, move on. I was always when we had a problem, all right, define the problem. I'm not interested in putting someone down out in front of their teammates, embarrassing them in front of their teammates, embarrassing a coach in a meeting. I'd call it into the office most of the time to talk if we had a problem. But what I always did, we defined what the problem was, we discussed as a staff how we're going to solve the problem, and we put that in motion and went on to the next thing. We didn't sit there and talk about people or let that problem stay there. We solved it and moved on. You won't hear me talk much about boxing. About the only people I know are Joe Louis and Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali. That's about all I know about boxing. But when I speak of the importance of communication, boxing is a fine example. When a boxer is fighting and in trouble, where does he look? In between rounds, where does he go? I say this because we all are going to need to look there and go there as we go through life. We need a corner man. That's what the guy is called. Think about a corner man. He's in the background when the boxer's having success. He's up on someone's shoulders, raising hands in the air. He's in the background. But when when he gets beat, everyone wants to know about that corner man. What were you telling him? A corner man must possess a range of attributes that many people never attain. An unwavering devotion to the boxer. They must know every characteristic of his boxer, know every detail of what the opponent brings to the party. He must be a psychologist. He must be able to assist his fighter through the emotional minefield that is preparation for combat. A strategist, a general, able to see what's going on to secure a victory and offering the kind of tactical advice that can be put into practice in the heat of battle. A good nutritionist, a medic, a role model. A good corner man finds the right words for the boxer and the situation. Some respond to stern rebuke, others respond to positive reinforcement, and some respond to a mix of both tough love. The list goes on and on. But above all, the corner man's words are communicated with trust. If you ask this, I'll ask you this: who is your corner man? Everybody's got to have a corner man. Finally, the third quality I think an effective leader has is organization. I'm a firm believer it's one of the most important dynamics of an organization for all the people involved to know the role and responsibility of each other. I'll tell you a little story. Each year when we begin our first day in the fall, our first time back off to vacation, we're getting ready for pre-fall practice. We have a staff meeting, and it's whenever person associated with the organization is in that meeting. The secretaries, the equipment people, the trainers, everyone, the academic people, everyone in the organization is in that meeting. And we hand out a notebook, and in that notebook it starts with myself, what my responsibilities are, and then it goes to the associate head coach, what his is and what position he's coaching, right on down to the video people, down to the recruiting people. And the reason I do that, because it's so important, in my opinion, for everyone to know what his responsibilities are, and for everyone else to know that that belongs to him and it's not you. And I always wanted one person to have responsibility. You know, he was the guy responsible. He was the guy that's going to praise if things went well. He's the guy that wasn't going to get the praise if he didn't. All right, but it was going to be one person. He may have people helping him, but it was one person responsible. And along with that, then we had mapped out a calendar of what we were doing, meeting times, as we went through the football season, what weekends we had off, what days we had off. I did that for the coaches so they could be able to schedule and know what was going on. I did it for the wives, because now they knew what was going on and they could get family outings planned. And I thought that was important, because I wanted my coaches to be happy, and they're going to be happy if the wife is happy, and and for them to know what's going on and when it's going on and so forth. You know, it was just important that everyone was on the same page. We didn't come up and all of a sudden we're doing something next week when we had a trip planned somewhere else. You know, I wanted coaches to have, and wives to feel good about coaching at Virginia Tech. Be glad they're going to work, not dread going to work. That's the culture I tried to establish. So having this thing organized was important. We discussed the expectations we had in place for that team. They're different year in and year out. The number of guys you got coming back, what positions we're strong at, what should happen as I saw it. And we did this you know, planning for hourly, daily, weekly, as I said before, monthly. The whole year was laid out down to the minute. Now, I had a tremendous support staff that kept me organized. The simple fact was that we all knew each other's roles and responsibilities within our organization. It was essential that these duties were outlined and that we were all using the same, most efficient way possible with our time. I often talked about that it's not the time that you take to do your work, but the work you accomplish with your time. It's not the time it takes to do your work, it's the work that you get done during that time. I told my coaches, again, if you get your work done, I'm not saying you stay here till 11 o'clock. Go home, spend time with your family, spend time with your wife, spend time with your kids. Again, happy people, people that have a good family life, I believe they come to work better the next day. So, you know, do work, make a good use of your time is my point. Now, if you're organized or have a successful organization, you can look to how your time is used. Time is the most valuable asset that we do not own. Time is the most valuable asset we do not own. You may not realize it, but how you use or don't use your time is going to be the best indication of where your future is going to take you. I picked this up several years ago. I think it's relevant to a strong organization use of time. When you work hard at something, you become good at it. When you become good at something, you enjoy it more. When you enjoy doing something, there is a very good chance you will become passionate about it. When you're good at something, passionate about it, and work even harder to excel and be the best at it, good things happen. Don't follow your passions. Follow your effort and how you use your time. Don't follow your passions. Follow your effort and how you use your time. It will lead you to your passions and success, however you define it. It will lead you there. Be organized and use your time wisely. In conclusion, I believe that these are three essential qualities for a successful leader in your professional and personal life: integrity, communication, organization. I'll leave you with this. There is a place for everybody to be at the top, and those at the top are those that have integrity, those that can communicate, and those that are organized. And for those people that have these three qualities and are willing and ready to learn from their failures and keep moving forward, you are the next problem solver the world is waiting for. The next professional in your field the world is waiting for. You're the next doctor or nurse the world is waiting for. The next inventor the world is waiting for. You're the next best student a school is waiting for. You're the best teammate a team is waiting for. You're the best employee a company is waiting for. The list goes on and on. You are the original you. You're the original you the world is waiting for. You're the only you the world has. And that is why you are special and unique in your own way. All you need to do is show that uniqueness. Finally, don't forget that when you came into this world, people were smiling and you were crying. People were smiling and you were crying. You should strive to make sure that when you leave the world, the reverse is case. The reverse is the case. People are crying and you are smiling. Thank you all very much for having me here. Thank you.